times have you stopped yourself from doing something because you felt underqualified? It could be applying for a senior management position or even simply raising an objection to a point you know to be incorrect. At many times in her career, Regina Borda has also felt the same. And she recalls one conversation that enabled her to reframe her thinking. Welcome back to my Thursday video series where I share anecdotes for you to use at work to make your messaging sticky. Regina talks about a time when she was the marketing director at KFC in Germany, and a coach at that time surprised her during a career development conversation. He said that, in my view, I think you should aim for a general management position because I've seen you add value to the business holistically. Regina could not believe it at first. She had a bad case of imposter syndrome back then, and she thought she was extremely lucky to be even in the current position, forget stepping into a role that would oversee the functions for which she didn't possess the technical expertise. But that seed the coach had planted in her brain. And she knew that it was also important to recognize potential in others, even when they don't recognize it themselves. A few months later, she had the opportunity to have a one-on-one with the president of Yum Restaurants International, Graham Allen. She was a bit uneasy with her, newfound career ambition, and she asked for his view. And she thought he's going to laugh at the whole notion. She knew she was a great marketeer, but she had no commercial experience and had never led cross-functional teams. And she says, I assumed that even if Graham entertained the idea, he would advise me to spend several years in finance, in operations, in business development to even be considered for a general management role. Instead, Graham endorsed her ambition completely, and he just told her, you don't need to be a functional expert on every subject. You just need to know enough so people can't snow you. And you need to surround yourself with people who are subject matter experts and let them do their job. Over the following years, she saw how Graham and the other senior executives put that into practice. She noticed that they would weigh in more on those topics where their functional expertise could add value and knew the relevant, challenging questions to ask on subjects where they didn't. She also learned how to put together a well-balanced team. And reflecting on this, Regina says, we all have a tendency to hire people like us, people who think like us and act like us, because these are the colleagues that we feel comfortable with. But like-minded colleagues will only tell us what we already know and reinforce what we already believe. We need people who have had different experiences, different areas of expertise, different ways of thinking, and we need to trust them. Only then can we come up with a solution that's better than what each of us could have come up with on our own. The other benefit, she says, of the advice of not to become a subject matter expert on everything is that it leaves you free to be that unreasonable person in the room. Regina says that I get to ask the difficult questions. Why not? Are you sure this is as far as we can go? And just because we have tried it in the past and it hasn't worked, doesn't mean we should abandon the whole concept. It is much more difficult to do that if you're steeped in all the challenges of executional detail. And Regina says that, in my view, being the unreasonable one is the most important role that the most senior person on a team has to play in order to drive through breakthrough thinking and performance. What a wonderful anecdote and what a wonderful reframe and a guide to help us shift mindsets. I trust this anecdote is the one that you will use with your team to highlight how, as a senior leader, you could be the one driving change and breakthrough and shifting mindsets. Do let me know how that conversation goes.